Welcome back to another edition of Sci Talk. Today we're reviewing Star Trek The Next Generation's The Big Goodbye. Wasn't much of a goodbye.
Yeah, I don't know who named the episode. I would call this episode a mixed bag. It's got some entertaining parts, but like plot-wise, especially when you compare it to the good episode, plot-wise, there's really not a plot. There's just like, an accident and...
Yeah, even the subplot is not really much of a subplot.
But still, it's in one of my favorite settings on the ship, which is the holodeck. So there's a lot of fun there. Yeah. And I would say the weakest part is probably the ending. So let's get into what happened.
All
right. So the Enterprise, I guess, is on a mission or a few different things, and they need to stop by this planet with this insect species that they need to establish communications and diplomatic relations, and they're called the Harada. But apparently these insects are very temperamental. They get very offended easily if you don't speak their language.
Greet them in their proper
If you don't speak their language correctly, or if you have bad pronunciation, that offends them. And so the captain is training hard to learn how to give his little speech to them without offending them.
Right.
And while he's training really hard, Deanna's like, "Oh, you're working so hard. You need to blow off some steam. Guess what? I know you're excited about the
upgrade to the holodeck.
The holodeck's upgrade." So he's like, "Yeah, and you know what? I'm some blah 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 Dixon Hill program." And she's like, "It's already added." So there's this book from the 40s that Captain Picard apparently likes, and it's detective noir Dixon Hill type book, and he's put it into the
it's a holodeck program.
He's put it into the holodeck, and now he's gonna just go play around in it. So he tries it out, likes it, being back in time and hanging out in the holodeck, which makes sense. If I had a holodeck, I would like to do goofy stuff like that too.
Right.
So anyway, he leaves, gets some more of his friends into it, and they all go, him, Data, and Beverly, and a historian.
A 20th century historian.
Where did they get this guy? Where did they get this guy from? He was just on the ship.
He was a red shirt.
I didn't think about that when we were watching it.
Wait, what? He's the equivalent of the red shirt, the insignificant character. We'll never see him again.
What I'm thinking of, where did they get this guy from? Like, he's just on the ship, just sitting around?
In one of the departments.
Oh yeah, you know what? Raymond, he's a 20th century history
historian. Let's get him on the
So either way, this character who we've never ever seen is also there, who's a historian for the time. Coincidental. And they go and have fun on an adventure, and while Riker's running the rest of the ship,
a probe from the planet.
From the Harada?
From the Harada.
Okay.
Interacts with their ship to cause malfunctions, and one of the malfunctions is the holodeck.
Yeah, that was so out of left field I could barely put it into context. But yeah, a probe from the Harada, causes malfunctions on the ship. It's like almost like it's an energy weapon, but not really. It's just causing malfunction, causing doors and stuff to open, computers go off.
Glitches.
And yep, you can guess it. They get trapped in the holodeck, and the holodeck starts freaking out.
All the safety protocols are disabled, even though they don't mention it. We see it in the action.
So Dixon Hill, and whatever happened in the book, he's obviously mixed in with the local mob and gangsters. So since the safety protocol is off, it's dangerous now. They've got mobsters with guns who are coming to, mess with them, and they think it's all just a game. So, they flaunt off the gangsters with their guns, and eventually Mr. History Buff, the red shirt, gets shot, and they're like, "Oh no, we need to save him," and blah blah blah. And then I'm just gonna speed through it because it'll be fun if we talk about these little things. But then Wesley and Geordi are working to fix it. and they're running out of time to talk to the Harada, and
Right.
the dude's dying, so they need to hurry up and get him out of the
So
holodeck.
fake suspense.
So either way, they're working really hard. They figure it out. They solve the problem, open the door, and they all are saved. They save the guy who got shot, and the gangsters walk off the holodeck, which we'll talk about how stupid that
And
is in a
disintegrate.
second. But they walk off the holodeck and slowly disappear and realize, oh no, we're not real. And then for some reason, which the show is called The Big Goodbye, Picard, I didn't even mention this guy, but there's a character on the holodeck.
A cop that's a friend with Dixon Hill.
Yep, a character from the book who's on the holodeck who Picard's been hanging out with because it's the main character's best friend. For some reason, he acts very sentimentally attached to him as if he's his real friend or more.
Or it's a real person. Like it's a,
He treats him like he's a real friend, brother, or more. And he's like, I wish I could take you with me.
I wish I could take you with me.
What do you mean? I wish you could take.
Where did that come from?
Now we're getting off.
Yes,
we're getting off the
so
point. But
you
either
finishing
way,
up the premise.
he says goodbye to his holodeck friend, and his holodeck friend's like, "When you leave, do I even exist?"
You're going into it. Don't even.
This is what the episode is named about.
But don't go. Let's go into it when we can actually.
It's called The
talk
Big
about it.
Goodbye.
So, this is the big goodbye.
And this is the big goodbye, and it has nothing to do with 90% of the episode. So either way, he says goodbye, turns off the program, talks to the Harada.
Go to the bridge, talk to the Harada.
Appropriately, does a good job. Everybody claps. The end.
The end.
So
now, what you want to start with? Okay, I'll start. All right. So first of all, these bugs, these insect people, are so stuck on protocol that first they don't want to talk to anybody but the captain. Anybody less than the captain is beneath them, right? And if the captain do not greet them appropriately, no diplomatic ties. You mispronounced the word. You said a wrong inflection. We're offended. Get the flip out of here. That's the way it started. What?
now,
It's a
at
diplomatic.
face value, that could seem like it'd be interesting, even though it's stupid. You know, even though it's kind of arbitrary, that could be interesting at face value. You got this temperamental species of alien insects, but they've never set the stage of why the Federation needs to have diplomatic arrangements. What do they have that we need? And what do we have that they need? Now, if it was very one-sided, like they have this compound that could cure all of this disease that's
Right,
incurable,
then it'd be
and
understandable to subject yourself to something like that.
right, but there is no context. They just need to talk to them, and they're hard to deal with. So Picard's got to work real hard to get it, you know, to be able to talk to him, and no one else can talk to him without getting blasted.
We demand that you cut that off.
With weird frequencies that hurt your ears.
Right.
So they're also very antagonistic.
So that was like the first thing, but that was very insignificant. The thing about it is,
there's no stakes. If they fail, we don't know what was going to happen.
There's no stakes, so it's false drama. We'll call that false drama or false suspense. It doesn't really work. Okay, so during the process, Deanna, Captain is in his ready room practicing the speech, and Deanna says, "You've been working on that for days. You got it. You good. How about you go and check out the new upgrades to the holodeck?" And he said, "I think I would do that." And so he went.
So yeah, what's the next aspect we want to talk about?
Well, the holodeck. That's why I'm getting to it now. Mm-hmm. So the first time he visited the holodeck, he go in his uniform, and everybody like looking at him strange. All the characters interact with you on the holodeck. So he's just blowing through the first time, and he's like, "Wow, this is touching stuff," and looking out the window. Wow, it's a real street. This is his reactions, and then he leaves the holodeck, and he has a briefing about the situation with the insect people. But before they get into the briefing, he's just ranting and raving about how great the holodeck is, and it's exciting, and there was this big thing that what is it? Block, sir? Yeah, a city block, and he's just out of character. Right there, it shows that he hadn't found that Captain Picard stoic, quiet, wise type of character yet, because the holodeck was so much fun.
Yeah, well, I definitely agree that the direction and the acting of Picard and like the director, how excited he made him act or allowed him to act and let it go through was definitely over the top and kind of hammy. But to kind of focus it in, because that's how it went. But the cool thing is that we do have an episode that's featuring the holodeck.
Right.
So it's nice to see him go on there and then them to begin to establish the rules of the holodeck. But completely fail at it at the same time. For example, he's on the holodeck, he gets kissed by this holodeck female lady. And when he leaves the holodeck, he's still got the lipstick on his lip, which doesn't make sense because the matter from the holodeck is now on him in reality. Just like how they messed up earlier when they had Wesley episodes in the same season 1, a couple episodes ago. Wesley was on the holodeck and he threw a snowball off the holodeck and got someone else covered in snow and wet.
Captain Picard, Captain Picard,
which breaks the rules that they make very clear in this episode, that you can't come off the holodeck. You can't take
bring matter off the holodeck.
But they keep messing up with this rule, whether it's in episodes ago or whether in this very episode. Just like, how could they even take the holograms from the program, the gangster guys? I don't even know their names. Yeah. The gangster, the big bald gangster, and the other dude were able to walk off the holodeck for a couple steps and then slowly disappear.
It was the Redenbacher and...
But whatever, but I like how in future episodes they get it together better to where it's like you can't pass the door,
Right, you can't pass the barrier.
You can't throw something out of there. It's not happening.
There's no matter in it. Off the holodeck, there's no mass. And so there was a few things about the holodeck that if we skip around that is coming to mind right now, because Geordi and Wesley would sit down there to fix the holodeck. When they realized that the holodeck was broken, they needed the captain to come on and do this greeting. The bug people were getting impatient, and then they realized that he's trapped on the holodeck after sending Geordi down there. Okay, so now they realize that they have to hurry up and get him off the holodeck so he can do this greeting. So on the outside, it's kind of urgent, but it wasn't no real urgency on the outside. It was just these temperamental bug people waiting on the greeting. That was all it was. On the holodeck was a different story because the safety protocols was not engaged, and so during the course of their little playing around with these gangsters, the historian got shot, and they realized, this is real.
So I put it like this: when it comes to everything that happened off the holodeck, really wasn't a big deal, and they didn't make it a big deal. Like I said, they didn't explain any context with these aliens, so we don't really get caught up in that as something we care about. It's
Absolutely.
like, he's going to be a little late for work. Maybe. But there's people dying on the holodeck.
Right.
But what's happening on the holodeck is cool because after the malfunction, they're trapped and now they have to deal with the dangers. And it was really nice seeing the actors. I like the scene where they all realized it was real.
Right.
But how at first they're like laughing, they're clapping and they're playing around. Even when Picard is getting interrogated, it's very nice because like the dude pushes him back down, and before it could escalate, his boy steps in or whatever. And I thought it'd be funny if he gets slapped and like, "You hurt me," but
that would have been funny.
That would have been funny, but that happened later with the leech guy or whatever.
Well, there was one scene in the holodeck that was really hilarious, and it's kind of like you just have to look at the expressions on Captain Picard and Beverly's face. So after Captain Picard was interrogated and they let him go, he came out, and Beverly had came on to the holodeck, and they were all in the police station. And Captain Picard looked at her dressed up, and he was like, "Whoa," he was like, "Wow, you wear it well," that was his line, but he was saying that she looks gorgeous in her outfit, and he was kind of, and she was like, "Oh, well, whatever." But anyway, he said, "Well, let's go. We got to go to the Enterprise." And she was like, "This is the Enterprise." He said, "Well, let's go." And she said, "Do we have time to see your office?" He said, "Yeah, I think we have time to see my office." And they turned to walk away. And then the other two that was with him was like, "Hey, Captain, can I come see it too?" And then they were like, "Yeah, boss, can I come see it?" And the look on their two faces was like, we were about to go get busy in the office. We was was about to go do something in the office that we didn't want nobody else to see. You could see it on their face, and it was hilarious. It was like busted.
So
check it out. See what you think about it.
But if I was to talk about another scene, the ending, which they named the episode after.
Yeah. All of the stuff's taking place on the holodeck.
Yeah, but
all of the stuff, interesting stuff, took place on the holodeck.
But yeah, about the end, I don't know who had the idea. I don't care whether it was Gene or whether it was someone else, but they're like, we're going to name this episode where they get stuck in the holodeck, because that has to be the main premise and point of this episode. Mm-hmm. The whole Harada thing is just tacked on, I guess, for some temporal drama. Oh, we're on a timetable, but it's the weakest timetable. But the meat of the episode is we're trapped on the holodeck and it's dangerous. Cool, right? Well, now let's call it the Big Goodbye, because at the end, one of Picard's holodeck friends,
the character
he feels sentimental towards for some reason. They've only been hanging out for a couple hours.
At best,
he doesn't exist.
He's just a hologram character.
And also, I feel like in this early episode, these holodeck characters become sentient way quicker.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know they're sentient because they're like, they're imitation.
They can interact. They really...
Yeah,
the computer. They're really the computer.
Right, kind of like how we have AI now, but it's Star Trek, so they're hundreds of years later. It's amazing they can have these AIs pretend to be human and be perfectly at it.
Right.
Well, and feel like in later episodes in the holodeck, the AI doesn't become so aware of the ship so easily. I know it happened, but with these characters, it was like after 2 seconds, the gangster was like of them being like
take over the
well, he was like actually entertaining what they were saying.
Right.
You remember? All right, let's back up a bit. They're being held hostage by the gangster of the book,
Dixon Hill,
the Dixon Hill book, and they're like, wait a second. I know I look like Dixon Hill, and I know you're gonna kill me for whatever our beef is, but I'm really Picard, and we're really on a spaceship, and this is a reality. And then his friend,
and you're not real, and I'm not real.
And even the holodeck friend of his, like, you really think they're gonna go for that one?
They're not that stupid. They won't go for that nonsense.
That's pretty low, even for you. But no, within 2 seconds, the gangster's like, well, I guess I'll hear you out. So what about if this ain't the real world, and blah, 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 and I see this pale guy, so anything's possible. It took him 2 seconds, then when things flipped to like ice, because they were fixing the
holodeck, they was
when things changed the ice and then changed right back, they just be like, okay, all right, yeah, we're in a fictional world. They didn't react like humans from that time were reacted. They were really learning that they're a video game character, pretty much. But it took him seconds to get okay with that, and like you said, as soon as he stepped off, you're like, we're in a whole new world we can conquer.
Right.
Like, you just see it a hallway.
And you shouldn't even be seeing the hallway, because you're a hologram character. When you step off the deck, the holodeck, there's no mask to you. So how are you seeing what's out there?
So either way, I got sidetracked because I was talking about the ending with the Big Goodbye and why it's named the Big Goodbye, and the scene.
Yeah.
It's just stupid and terrible.
Okay, so
because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up to nothing. Where's the sentimentality coming from for him to act like this towards?
Well, and then the holodeck character is the one to say when Captain Picard said, "Well, I guess I have to go now." He said, "Well, I guess this is the Big Goodbye." The holodeck character says that, and it's like, really, in the fictional book, me and Dixon Hill are friends. The holodeck character and Dixon Hill is friends. But this is just a reenactment of it, so Captain Picard shouldn't have no real connection to this holodeck character except
which gives me this point. I feel like they got it backwards. It should have been him who was sentimental.
Right.
Versus Picard should have started to empathize with him because of his sentimentality. But it was more like Picard was like, wait, before I leave, I wish I could take you with me. If it was more like, because, all right, his friend said this, when you leave, will my wife and kids still be waiting for me? He's acting like the most real out of any of these holodeck characters now that he realizes that things ain't how it seems.
Right.
He should have been talking and had dialogue like that, and then Picard engaged him about, I wish we could take you,
right.
or something. But since it was backwards, it was Picard acting first, and not giving a chance for us to set up how, wow, this dude is so real that he's literally going through a human emotional experience of realizing he's a lie and doesn't exist, which is kind of deep. But they blubbed it, and it was like, they completely choked. They messed that up. They made it where it didn't matter.
Like they was kind of like, well, I'm gonna miss you. We're not gonna miss each other. You're not real, and I know you're not real.
Well, he's not real to you. You were real to him, and his whole world is falling apart.
But
they could have did that better, and it ended up just being like Picard is a goofball weirdo who
want to take a holodeck character with him home.
Kind of like if he was hanging out, like if a kid was hanging out with Spider-Man on the holodeck. It was like, God, I wish you could come to school with me or something.
Yeah.
That's what I got versus, dang, man, this dude, whole world reality is broken and he's not real. And I guess it's not really a big deal to me, but it is to him.
But not really, because as soon as you say in program, he
don't
exist.
But it's more of a thought experiment. You know what I mean? And they made it to where it's just weird.
Last thing, that was the meat of the show. If we can
that was the big goodbye.
If we can think of anything else, we can insert it after this. But the last thing is Captain Picard leaves the holodeck, rushes to the bridge, still in the 40s suit and stuff, and
which is actually pretty cool because Data looks pretty good, snappy in his outfit.
Yeah, Data still has on the outfit too, but he goes to the bridge. He hails the Harada and says,
"Wait, go ahead.
I'll let you."
Ad klaxon ris blash blanarnik karnik. Ad trasula. Trasula.
Practical.
And then they show them moving them. It's like you got to use those expressions.
Yes, he does.
These sounds,
which was pretty funny.
It was funny, and then there was a brief silence. Drama, suspense. Mm-hmm. And then they say, you honored us with the proper greeting. Goodbye.
Oh, okay, fine. Guess what?
The end.
The end. Now, here's another complaint. I know we're wrapping it up soon, but here's another complaint. Data did not act when he could have to save the people from the gangsters.
Well, they didn't know it was real at that time.
I'm talking about afterwards. He had plenty of opportunities.
After that, he had opportunities.
He had opportunities to where he's capable of taking a few bullets. Right. Now, it wouldn't have been guaranteed safety for everyone's success, but there were a few opportunities where he could have easily apprehended both of them.
The episode would have been over. So.
Yes, it would have been over. Because there's even a scene of him grabbing a dude's gun, and closing it, squeezing it.
Yeah, barrel and disabling the gun. So anyway, it could have went different ways. If we were doing
any more complaints, because we talked about good. Any bad, so we can wrap this up.
We wrap it up with the writing. Some of the lines was pretty bad, as always. It was entertaining because the little drama, the little suspenseful drama, mystery on the holodeck was the meat of the
right. Because could you imagine if it was like they all died and it was like this holodeck incident where it went wrong and the Starfleet captain and a few officers died on
holodeck?
That would be terrible.
That would be funny.
But anyway. Overall, I love holodeck episodes. I will say, if I rank them, this would probably be my least favorite holodeck episodes. But I need to think about that. Y'all tell us how you feel about this episode and how they did the holodeck in the comments. And make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed. And I guess this is the big goodbye.
I wish I could take you with me.
Me? I'm already here.
Oh, I wish I could take you with me.